Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon Perna, and since the Broncos lost, there will be no Big Dick Player Award. I don't give them out when the team loses. Losers don't get big dicks, and it's been that way since Jesus invented the Big Dick Player Award. So today, I want to discuss something that's been on my mind instead. Natural male enhancement. Is it really natural? And does it work? Please let me know in the comments. The full game review is on the That's Good Broncos channel right now and will only be available for 24 hours unless you are a Patreon supporter. Patreon.com/ThatsGoodSports. Now, right here, right now in this video, I'm just going to talk about what I observed after re-watching the game and how the Broncos can improve for the Raiders. That's Good Sports. This episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. You can download the SeatGeek app with the link in the description. Use my promo code ThatsGood, all one word, and guess what? You're gonna get $20 off your first ticket purchase. And you might wanna use that to get tickets to the Broncos-Raiders game, or to go see a comedy show, laugh, forget about the Bills-Broncos loss. Whatever you wanna do, the SeatGeek app ranks all their ticket prices so you know what kind of deal you're getting. You can preview your seat before you buy it, and my promo code, that's good, $20, SeatGeek. Am I doing this right? Look, we all know why the Broncos lost to the Bills, shitty fucking reffing. But let's also admit that there were mistakes and the defense wasn't nearly as dominant as we have grown accustomed to. And I say that lightly because they only gave up 75 rushing yards and 288 total yards of offense. The difference being they didn't force a turnover. They lacked that one dynamic play that would have swung the game in the Broncos' favor. It's not really the defense's fault. We've just gotten so used to seeing that so many different times. I don't know why I was doing that shoulder thing either. What I will say is be weary of anyone who says the defense was bad, because they were not. They weren't perfect, but after re-watching the game, they did a lot of things well. The first TD Buffalo scored, Vaughn's penalty, and the penalty that forced the Broncos to punt twice accounted for 13 of the Bills' points. Weird, fluky, bobbly, touchdown catching type things happened. You can't put on the defense. Look, Trevor Siemian's second interception really hurt the team, but next to that, the goddamn false start penalties really hurt the Broncos. But I sort of get it. It was the first away game, the crowd was loud, and you were worried about dildos hitting your helmets. Again, you should be more worried about Chad Kelly sneaking the plays over to his uncle's favorite team. But 5 false starts in one game, they were untimely as well. This week at Broncos practice, the team must focus on the little things, discipline, timing, and funny things to say to Jack Del Rio when you beat his ass. False starts hurt the Broncos on their first 2 drives. When you play a very tough defense, you cannot put yourself in 1st and 15, and then a 3rd and 15 after you've crossed midfield. In the red zone on 3rd and 7, another false start killed the possible touchdown. Those are holes that are too tough to dig out of on the road when TSA won't let you travel with shovels anymore. The real killer was the false start on the punt in the second quarter. The coverage team was great, and Buffalo was down on their own 31 or 32. After the Broncos punted again, Buffalo was close to the 30 on the other side of the field. That was like a 35-yard swing in the Bills' favor, which led to a field goal. I really believe Buffalo has a top 5 defensive front 7. They were in fact better than the Broncos in this matchup. They did stop the run pretty effectively. They limited the rushing attack and were able to get after Trevor Siemian. CJ Anderson had 1 big run, but he only got 8 carries. The Broncos totaled 111 rushing yards, but looked a bit lost without that part of the game really working for them. I do believe the Broncos will be able to run effectively against most teams they play, because they did have some success against Buffalo. But this is an area I hope we see continuing to improve through the season. Because if we want to look at the Broncos as a legitimate playoff team, I think they've got to dominate as a running team. I thought Mike McCoy did some creative things early with the offense and the play calls to try and counter what he knew would be a favorable matchup for the Bills. I mean, they had that reverse to Isaiah McKenzie that didn't really work. They tried a few screen passes that Buffalo just didn't fall for. And then they did throw well early to spots on the field where Broncos receivers were getting wide open. My only critique is I felt like all the creativity was used within the first quarter. I'd like to see them save that McKenzie reverse for later in the game, or when you feel that the Bills defense is getting tired, winded, or is over pursuing. Hand it to Buffalo, their defense was not only good up front, they were very disciplined. It should also be noted that Trevor Siemian and the Broncos offense moved the ball effectively in the first half. Trevor was finding open targets regularly and spreading the ball around to Thomas, Sanders, and Fowler. It wasn't until the second half that pass protection broke down and that Siemian started to try and force balls into places he shouldn't. Makes him sound like a rapist. The positives are Brandon McManus got his groove back after watching how Stella got her groove back on repeat until the game started. The Broncos left Buffalo pretty damn healthy. The Raiders lost to the Washington Redskin Potatoes and appear to be beatable, especially on the ground. Well, pass ground. Running back Chris Thompson had 150 receiving yards out of the backfield for Washington last night, so Jamal Charles and CJ Anderson could have monster days in the screen game. Most importantly, we are heading into week 4. It's early and the Broncos won 2 games to start the season. They are on the right track and many of the things that cost them the game in Buffalo can be fixed. I do agree that I think Denver would have benefited from having TJ Ward on the field against the Bills. Both Justin Simmons and Will Parks blew assignments in pass coverage. I mean, they didn't even see the guy they should have been covering, and it was on the same drive. The Bills' first touchdown drive. Now, say what you want about TJ not being great in pass coverage, but he was usually at the very least in the right spot. To me, I remember him just not having great technique as a pass defender, maybe being a step behind or whatever. That said, I think Justin Simmons and Will Parks will get better, but it was something I noticed rewatching the game. When your team kind of shoots itself in the foot, the positive thing is they can probably fix that. Unless they're a bad team, then they just make those mistakes over and over again. With that said though, the Broncos are 2-1 with room to grow like a flower. A flower that pulverizes its opponents with brutal force, smashes their faces like a Clegane. And I think that flower is a daffodil, but I'm not sure. On to the Raiders. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Subscribe here on YouTube, share on Facebook, do your job, and I'll do mine, which is make more videos. Also, follow me on Twitter at Brandon Perna if you want to talk football. I'm pretty good at answering your tweets. Unless they're mean, then I ignore.